Well then, I think it's time to get started. We have a good number of folks in the Discord chat. There is a few folks on YouTube as well, so let's just get started. Welcome everyone to our latest release highlights live event for version V23.1 of the Google Ads API, which just came out yesterday. So as you know, this is I think the second or the third time we do these live events, and the idea is for us to be highlighting what we think are the key features in the latest API release, and there will also be some time for some Q&A. So we are eager to hear your feedback and to answer any questions that you may have. You are more than welcome to ask questions on Discord. You are more than welcome to ask questions on Discord and to follow us on both channels so that you can stay up to date with all the news and also interact with the developer community, which is pretty big and helpful. So first of all, getting started, what I want to do is to do a bit of housekeeping and reiterate something that I was already mentioning last month in the previous event. So as you may know, we now moved to a monthly release cadence. Up until last year, we used to do one release of the API a quarter, which meant that the API releases were pretty far apart from each other. And now we are on a monthly release cadence, which means that V23 came out last month, and here we are already again with a new release and new features being added on the API. So generally speaking, this means that we're going to be doing still 3 releases a quarter, because it's one a month, but only one of these will be a major version. So the way we mean major versions is that major version can contain breaking changes, whereas minor versions, such as V23.1, the one that just came out, are not going to be containing any breaking changes. They're just about adding new features. So upgrading should be easier from V23 to V23.1 because you are not required to be making any changes to your code. The upgrade should be seamless. If you are already using V23, you are actually using V23.1 since yesterday because the upgrade was transparent. This also means that the sunset schedule is not being changed, because one of the concerns we heard from you is having to upgrade to new versions frequently, and we've heard about that, and we are keeping the sunset schedule unchanged. So each major version is going to having the same lifespan as it always had, which is about a year. So V23, which just came out last month, is due for sunset next year in February 2027. And this means that you are getting new features more frequently, but you're not required to upgrade more frequently. You're just getting new features more frequently. Speaking of sunsets, we just had one actually last week, which was V19, which came out last year, and as expected was sunset last week. So I am positive you know about this sunset already, because if you were using V19, you are not able to do that anymore because the requests to it are failing. But speaking of sunsets, the next one is going to be V20, which is going to be sunset in June. So this kind of echoes the quarterly schedule for major releases, if you think about it. We also have a quarterly cadence for sunsetting major releases because they come out once a quarter. They have a year lifespan, about a year lifespan. So they kind of tend to sunset once a quarter. The next sunset is, as I said, V20, which is due in June. So there's plenty of time for you to be upgrading. And I am also very positive that you are going to be willing to upgrade when you see the features that we just released in V23. But speaking of V23, I just want to do a quick callback to last month because there were a few interesting features that we released in V23.0 or just V23, and I think it's worth reiterating them. So the first one is actually about being able to segment PMAX reporting. And something that came out last month is being able to segment the asset group asset reporting, so the asset level reporting, by ad network type. This means that when you're getting metrics for your assets in your PMAX campaigns, you're able to split the metrics that you get by ad network type, which means search or YouTube or display or Gmail and all the other ad networks that we support in the API. So I think this was worth reiterating, even if it's been out for a month now, because we hear your concerns about being able to get more granularity in your PMAX reporting, and this is exactly a step in that direction. So you will be able to get more granularity and more detailed information about how your PMAX assets are performing. So this was my shout out back to V23, but now I know you're eager to know what we released in V23.1, and it's that time already. So I'm guessing you're ready. I am ready too. So let's get to it. First of all, there's a new feature for PMAX campaigns and actually search campaigns as well, which is called text guidelines. So as you know, both PMAX and search campaigns, if you enable AI Max, have the capability to generate new text assets for you, which are going to help your campaigns perform better. So we generate, using our AI tools, text assets that are going to help you reach your campaign goals. Now, we introduced a new feature that actually helps you guide how the AI tools generate those text assets. This is actually a feature that's split in two sub-features. So one is actually being able to exclude specific words from these auto-generated text assets. Say, for instance, you don't want your campaign to advertise your products as cheap, for instance, and you can exclude the word cheap altogether in the text guidelines, which means that when our AI tools generate text assets for you, they will never use the word cheap if you exclude that using text guidelines. But you can also use more complex instructions to give to the LLM generating the text assets. So say, for instance, using the restriction instructions, you could say, don't mention competitor names, for instance. So that would give even more context and even more information to the AI tools generating the text assets for you. And again, this is another step in the direction of giving you more control, because it helps you tweak exactly how the text assets are being generated. Next up, there is a new feature which is actually being released not only in V23, but also in V20, V21, and V22. There are some new restrictions due to a regulation of the European Union that are coming in effect on April 1st, so about a month from now. And basically they require you to declare for all of your campaigns if they contain or if they do not contain political advertising targeting the European Union. So this is going to be enforced from April 1st, and if you are not declaring this for some of your campaigns, you will get an error when you mutate any of your campaigns that says missing EU political advertising declaration. So you are going to be required to set the EU political advertising flag on all of your campaigns, and if you don't, you will be getting this error on mutates. There is also a field called, I don't have it in notes, but there's a field in the customer that says whether or not you are declaring the EU political advertising flag on all of your campaigns or some of them are missing. And there's a flag which is called missing EU political advertising declaration in your campaigns. So you can query with a GECL query all of your campaigns with the missing EU political advertising declaration flag set to true. And you would know that for all of those campaigns, you will need to set the declaration flag to prevent errors from happening. We also have a blog post specifically about these restrictions and how to work on them. So we'll leave a link to it in the chat. But yeah, the details are in there. And of course, we are always there to help on Discord and in the YouTube chat or whenever you may find us. Next up is probably my favorite feature of this release. And just as happened last month, this is my favorite because I personally worked on it. So I actually have a personal and emotional involvement on this. And I also think this is going to be a big one because it's like I have been working on the Google Ads API starting in 2018 before even V1 of the Google Ads API. And I remember this was being asked by developers even back then in 2018. Developers were asking about the possibility of uploading videos through the Google Ads API. So now, almost 8 years later, here it is. So starting from V23.1, you can actually upload videos to YouTube to be used as assets in your ad campaigns through the Google Ads API. There is a new service in the API called YouTube Video Upload Service that can actually upload videos to YouTube and will give you back the YouTube video ID, which then you can use to create video assets. For the time being, it is only supported by the Python client library natively, but it is also supported by the REST transport layer of the API, meaning that you can actually implement this in any other language using HTTP calls through REST. There is a guide on it. I actually wrote it, so I like it, but I hope you find it useful. So for instance, if you are a Java developer and you don't have at the moment native support in the Java client library, you can still upload videos to YouTube using HTTP calls and the REST transport layer. It's all documented in the guide, and I really hope you find it useful. And as usual, any feedback is more than welcome on this, but I really think you will find this useful because the developer community has been asking about this forever. And I'm really happy to see this finally landing. I also saw there was a question about it in the chat, and we will get to it immediately when we have the Q&A session. But before that, I also mentioned feedback. So I already said this last month, and this is exactly the same slide. We have an open survey that you could fill to give us feedback about the API in general, about how we work with community, and letting us know how you feel about what we do to support you as developers and what we could do better. So as they say, feedback is a gift, and I'm always happy about any sort of feedback that we can get. This being said, it's question time, and I've seen a bunch of questions pop up already, both on YouTube and on the Discord chat. So I will actually transition to my different view where I also have Corey, who is going to be asking me the question that you asked in the chat, and hopefully I can answer. Hello, sir.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Doing well.
All right, so we have a couple questions here. I guess why don't we start with the one that you were just talking about, what came in earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to read this verbatim, and we'll go from there. No pressure, Mattia. This is live. If you don't know, let me know. But the question is, I just built a whole system using the YouTube Data API for uploading and launching campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
I see it's getting added in the Ads API. Is the channel required to be linked to the account level, or will it work at the MCC level? Second part of the question, what sort of rate limits can we expect?
So let me just get to the question. Scrolling up, so I actually need to read it. No worries. So first of all, about channel linking to YouTube. So the way access control works when uploading videos to YouTube through the Google Ads API is that you have to be authenticating on the Google Ads API with an account that can also access the YouTube account, the YouTube channel you are uploading to. So it's regulated by the user you are accessing the API with. However, if you don't have an account that has both access to the Google Ads API or to a Google Ads account and to a YouTube channel, you can also use what we call a Google Managed channel. So if you don't set the channel ID when uploading a video to YouTube, it will be uploaded to a Google Managed channel, which means that it will still work as a YouTube video, and you can still use the video as a video asset in your campaigns. You just don't even need to have a YouTube channel active. You can just create a video and use it all together. You can use a channel if you have one, provided that you have both access to the Google Ads account and the YouTube channel, but it's not needed. Speaking of quotas and restrictions, I know the YouTube Data API has a restriction of 5 uploads per day, and that is one of the reasons why actually developers were asking for a more integrated support with ads, because the quota, like the daily quota on video uploads for uploading videos through the Google Ads API is significantly higher than that. This means that you are extremely unlikely to hit any sort of quota restrictions when uploading videos to YouTube through the Google Ads API. I hope this answered the question.
I'm gonna try something really quick. I don't know if there's an echo or not. I just unmuted myself on Discord. Is there an echo? Okay, I'm gonna mute myself back on Discord.
Wait.
Mattia, I'm gonna ask you to.
Yes.
What's up? I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and read the question. I'll paste it in chat. Okay?
Sure, no worries. I can do that. Oh, well, I was the only one hearing the echo anyways. So how will the new EU regulation affect my campaign serving? So if you have a serving campaign that is currently serving, it will not stop serving anyways, even after April 1st. What will happen though is that when you try mutating that campaigns, specifically when you try mutating targeting, or more specifically location targeting, after April 1st, if you didn't declare whether or not it contains political advertising targeting the EU, you will get the error that I was mentioning earlier. So serving is not affected, but you need to make sure that you declare whether or not your campaigns contain political advertising targeting the EU. Otherwise, you will not be able to mutate them anymore after April 1st. Any more questions, sir?
I just gave you one more, Mattia.
Oh. Are video uploads going to be limited to 5 uploads per day like the YouTube Data API? No. They are not going to be limited to 5 uploads per day. The limit is significantly higher. We are not publishing the exact limit because it's subject to change, but let's just say that you are very unlikely to hit the limit. I also think I can transition back to this. Is there an API supported method that allows us to pragmatically verify advertisers at scale rather than performing the verification process manually per advertiser? Well, sir, you are lucky because that is another feature I worked on. So yes, there is an advertiser verification API. It basically has 2 different methods. There is one that gets the verification status of an account, so it tells you whether or not it is required to undergo the verification process. And then there is another endpoint in the API that you can use to start the verification process, and what you get back is a URL where the advertiser can upload on their own the required documents. So I've seen this being used to perform advertiser verification at scale. I think it should be exactly what you were looking for. Any more questions? Let me take a look at YouTube. Oh, yes, some follow-up on the quotas. Are they on a customer basis? Yes, correct. So the upload quota is actually per customer account. So if you have several customers and you upload videos for different customers, they will not affect each other when uploading videos. There's another quota about the number of videos that you can upload in a very short amount of time to prevent, basically spamming videos, but that is also pretty high. If you upload, with a decent time interval between videos, you will very likely not be affected by that either. And in any case, different customers don't affect each other's quotas. Is there any API level configuration that enforces strict adherence to daily budgets? are there recommended best practices for platforms that manage advertiser funds programmatically? Is there a way to approximate fixed monthly budget behavior via the API? All these three are very good questions. I don't have an immediate answer for, so we'll get back to you on Discord. But generally speaking, there are some tweaks that you can do to this. So for instance, something that may be helpful in your case may be campaign total budgets, for instance. So if you have a campaign with a fixed duration, you may find it helpful to set a total budget for the duration of the campaign. It's just a possibility. But yeah, we'll get back to you on Discord about this, because it needs thorough discussion. Do we have any more questions? I'm actually looking at YouTube there and on Discord here. So I actually have plenty of screens around me. But I think
that's everything that came in.
It looks like we don't have any more questions. Well, anyways, if any more questions should come up, I will be on Discord. Corey will be on Discord. Usually all of our team is on Discord. So we are always around for help and for feedback of any sorts. So with this being said, I think I can actually do this. And thank you, everyone. Oh, wow, a last minute question. What's the visual difference for the end user on a short when uploaded via the Google managed channel versus a brand channel? None. So from an end user's perspective, whether you have uploaded a video to a Google managed channel or to a brand channel, the ad is going to look exactly the same. So it's just a matter of, how much you want your ad videos to be showing on your brand channel or not. Or if you actually have access to that, or just want, a quick and dirty way to upload videos. Is there a recommended approach to implement a REST-based authentication flow using OAuth 2 with a refresh token so that we do not need to manually re-authenticate on every session? Yes, there is, and I will get back to you on this on Discord. Because as I'm sure all of you know, OAuth is no simple topic, and it needs a long and thorough discussion on Discord. I guess we covered all of the questions. What do you say, Corey? Muted Corey is muted.
Can you hear me better now?
I can on Discord.
Okay. Discord's not going to be able to hear me. If you could just let them know, they're asking questions about the AdMob session for later. I just want to let them know that's a separate session. That'll be coming up soon.
Yeah, correct. Very good call out from Corey. So question about AdMob mediation. There is actually a live event on Discord right after this. Like it's in half an hour, I think. And that is the perfect place to be asking questions about AdMob mediation. All right. So I think we are done with our live event. I guess what is left for me to do is to say that I will be seeing you next month for the V23.2 live event. And of course, I will also be seeing around on Discord and on all of our developer community channels. Thanks, everyone. It's been a blast as always. Looking forward to any feedback.